You need infra not only for the Olympics, you need infra for your national championships, for your interstates, for your national juniors, for all that you need in terms of bringing up an athlete.
Now, the big question is, we are trying to host the 2036 Olympics without a strong sports infra available in our country.
You need infra not only for the Olympics, you need infra for your national championships, for your interstates, for your national juniors, for all that you need in terms of bringing up an athlete. The athlete is, your infra is not going to be there ready so that you can host an Olympics. Your infra needs to be taking out these juniors and making them into very solid athletes at the national level. If you're going to spend 5,000 crores, 6,000 crores, 7,000 crores on building infra, on trying to go and get more medals at the Asian Games, at the Commonwealth Games, and even aim for 2036 Olympics, any budget which is less than 100 crores for NADA is less.
ऐसे हालात में अगर आपको क्लीन स्पोर्ट चाहिए तो आपको तो क्लैम्प डाउन करना पड़ेगा, और अगर आप नहीं कर रहे तो आप चाहते ही नहीं है कि वो नंबर उठे।
देखिए, क्लीन स्पोर्ट 100% तो किसी भी देश में नहीं हो सकता। एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, ग्रीड इज अ overriding factor for a lot of people. School is somewhere where we are not focused at all in that sense. And I think you need a national schools policy that looks at different sport, whether it's football, hockey, kabaddi, whatever you are doing. I think if a national schools policy is there, then you'll probably see more and more track and field athletes coming.
तो सर, आज के पॉडकास्ट में सबसे पहला गोला हमारे पुराने मित्र तो नहीं कह सकते, जानकारी थे हमारे रिपोर्टर्स का, कोच संदीप मान, जिन्होंने बड़े प्यार से अपने प्रोटेजे को, अपने एथलीट को वो कुछ खिलाया सप्लीमेंट में मिला के, और जो भी किया वो उसके बाद डोपिंग में वो फंस गई। हम लोगों ने स्टोरी करी IndianSports पे, हमारे रिपोर्टर्स कितनी बार उनसे लंबी लंबी बातचीत करते रहे, आगे उन्होंने हाथ पैर भी जोड़ा कि मत करिए, फिर भी हम लोगों ने किया क्योंकि कहानी ऐसी थी। अब उनका देखिए कमेंट वहीं से शुरू करते हैं। संदीप मान कहते हैं, गालियां इसलिए मिलती हैं आपको, सारी आपको पता नहीं होता, जो आपको बता दिया जाता है उसी पे वीडियो बना देते हो आप। बड़े अधिकारियों या जिसकी चलती है उसके बारे में नहीं बोलते आप, हिम्मत नहीं है, कहीं चैनल बंद ना हो जाए, वीडियो बनाने से पहले थोड़ा पता कर लिया करो। क्या सोचा था आपने? तो सर, पहले आप इस पे टिप्पणी कीजिए।
सर, इस पे अब पता नहीं कौन सा चैनल वो बंद करने लगे, लेकिन मेरा यही मानना है कि चलो ठीक है, मतलब हमने जो कहना था हमने कहा, हमने जो करना था हमने किया। आप अगर कहना चाहते हैं तो आप आ जाइए, यहाँ बैठ जाइए, आपको जो मन में आए बोलिए। आप AFI के खिलाफ बोलिए, SAI के खिलाफ बोलिए, मिनिस्ट्री के खिलाफ बोलिए, वर्ल्ड एथलेटिक्स के खिलाफ बोलिए। और अभी तक क्यों नहीं कहा है आपने? आप भी कोच बने हैं, आप भी एथलीट्स निकालते हैं। अगर आपको लगता है कि कहीं गलती हो रही है, कहीं पर सिस्टम में खराबी है, कहीं प्रोसेस में खराबी है, आप भी बोलिए। आप क्यों चुप बैठे हैं? आप भी अपनी कोचिंग का कुछ ना कुछ देख रहे हैं ना, कि हाँ, कि कहीं मेरे ऊपर कुछ ना पड़े। और रही बात, हम जो बात करते हैं, हमको जो ठीक लगता है हम वही कहेंगे। राइट और रॉन्ग में जर्नलिज्म हर वक्त राइट या रॉन्ग से ही चलता है, कोई बीच का रास्ता तो हम निकाल नहीं सकते हैं। अगर आपको लगा कि हमने कुछ गलत कहा है, आप प्लीज़ आ जाइए, आप बोलिए कि मैं आपके साथ बैठना चाहता हूँ और मैं इस चीज़ को करेक्ट करके बोलना चाहता हूँ। खुला आप आइए, बैठिए, यहीं आ जाइए, मेरे को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। अगर आप आके बोल दीजिए कि आपने जो कहा गलत है, मैं जो कह रहा हूँ वो सही है, एवरीबडी इज वेलकम।
और फिर ये बेकार की बातें कहना कि भाई बड़े अधिकारियों के खिलाफ ये वो, तो
देखिए, वो तो हर इंसान पे लगेगा जो इस चीज को उठाना चाहता है, या वो कोई भी पॉइंट को उठाना चाहता है। सब यही सोचते हैं कि बड़े अधिकारी के खिलाफ कोई नहीं बोलता है। हम कई प्रोग्राम कर रहे हैं, कई वीडियोस हैं जो कि, और बड़े अधिकारी हम लोगों को कहते हैं कि भाई आप हमारे खिलाफ बोलते हो, तो फिर हम कहाँ जाएं? लेकिन हम ज़्यादातर एथलीट्स और कोचेस के लिए बोलते हैं, बिकॉज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे अधिकारी अपना काम कर रहा है, कोचेस अपना, और कोच अपना काम नहीं करेगा तो एथलीट्स नहीं निकलेंगे, अधिकारी अपना काम नहीं करेगा तो फंडिंग नहीं आएगी, हम अपना काम नहीं करेंगे तो आपको सही स्टोरी नहीं मिलेगी। इट्स ऑल टुगेदर, इट्स लाइक वन फुल यूनिट। सो एवरीबडी इज डूइंग देयर जॉब। अगर आप, मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि हम गलत बोल रहे हैं, आप हमको आके करेक्ट कर दीजिए, आप बैठिए आके। ये जो कमेंट लिखने वाला जो तमाशा होता है ना, ये कोई भी लिख सकता है।
The next question is from RK Sharma. He says India urgently need minimum 10 high performance centers across our country. 2 centers each in all directions, east, west, south, north, and 2 big centers for tops level athletes in central India. Now, the big question is, we are trying to host the 2036 Olympics without a strong sports infra available in our country.
I think let's not go all the way up till 2036. It's still a long way off. Whether we get the Olympics is also another story. But you need infra not only for the Olympics, you need infra for your national championships, for your interstates, for your national juniors, for all that you need in terms of bringing up an athlete. The athlete is, your infra is not going to be there ready so that you can host an Olympics. Your infra needs to be taking out these juniors and making them into very solid athletes at the national level. And whatever he's saying, I think is right, because more than anything, an NI should be in every center, in every state, is what I mean, so that at least the state can look after, and athletes don't need to go state hopping. कि कोई साउथ का पटियाला आ रहा है, कोई पटियाला का ईस्ट में जा रहा है, कोई ईस्ट का वेस्ट में जा रहा है. Why not have all these centers, and there should be one centralized body that looks at the data of every NIS. Then only will you get, the real cream of athletes.
Amal Kanti Ghosh, no relative of mine, basically says high performance centers will come later. Primarily competent coaches should work under government guideline at the grassroots level in every district with NIS centers, so they come under proper training by coaches at the kids level. Thus, our country will become a strong sporting country in the globe.
Absolutely. I think spot on in a way that, every school, every college needs to be in that particular system. I think last time we spoke about the Cubans thing, about how the whole system is geared towards taking out the best and then finally coming down into one. Of course, Cuba is a smaller, much smaller country, but then coming down to one centralized unit where वो छाननी की तरह होता है ना, कि आपका एकदम क्रीम जो निकल आता है. I think school is somewhere where we are not focused at all in that sense. And I think you need a national schools policy that looks at different sport, whether it's football, hockey, kabaddi, whatever you are doing. I think if a national schools policy is there, then you'll probably see more and more track and field athletes coming.
एम सानवाल का प्रश्न है कि सर, इंडिया में डिप्लोमा की हालत बहुत दुखद है. एक प्लेयर जब डिप्लोमा के लिए जाता है तो वो उसे साइकियाट्रिस्ट भी बना देते हैं, एक मसाजर भी उसी को सिखाते हैं, साइंटिस्ट भी उसी को बना देते हैं और जो डॉक्टर भी उसी को बना देते हैं, जबकि बाहर एक कोच के पीछे ये सब अलग अलग टीम के रूप में होते हैं.
आई थिंक अभी एक वीडियो शायद हम डालने वाले हैं, सुशांत शायद अभी डालेगा, अबाउट अ कोच इन कोलोराडो जो मसाज भी कर रहा है, साफ भी कर रहा है, झाड़ू भी लगा रहा है, पोछा भी लगा रहा है, खाना भी मैंने सुना बना रहा है. तो वो वीडियो आने देंगे, अभी मैं उसके बारे में ज़्यादा कुछ बोलूँगा नहीं.
तो उससे क्या मैसेज जा रहा है?
बाकी यही मैसेज जा रहा है कि आपको ऑलराउंडर बनना चाहिए. मतलब हम तो क्रिकेट में ऑलराउंडर्स देख रहे थे, बट यू नीड मोर हार्दिक पांड्या टाइप ऑफ कोचेस, everywhere, who can all spin a little, do a little bit of good pace bowling, do a little bit spot on batting. I think he has a point, because in a country where excellence is very limited in terms of coaching ability, and when I say that, I mean coaches who can take or who can really create big athletes. A lot of people tend to do multiple jobs. Also, I think because you're not pushing people through different streams in terms of bringing up a track and field guy. I think this happens, but when you see foreign teams, they all have very, very specialized positions for each, and that is one reason why foreign teams are doing well. Not because we don't have them, so we can't do well, but I think it's better to have them so that there are no complaints, and nobody can say कि ये मेरा काम नहीं था या मेरा वो नहीं था, that way.
Let's switch over to hockey, and not very good tidings. It was a pretty terrible performance in the Pro League, and India against some very fine teams had an aggregate of about 19. They conceded 19 goals and scored just 5 goals. It also raised questions on coach Craig Fulton's future. Is he likely to be persisted with? Some of the offline chats that we were having while even watching the matches, and particularly the hammering we took from Argentina, like an 8-0. It was terrible to watch. I was also very surprised that quite a few names popped up here and there who one has never seen. They had a lot to say about hockey, about the state of Indian hockey. For a while, India forgot that there is a T20 World Cup happening, and the entire attention was grabbed by hockey, but not in a nice way. So let's begin from the beginning. What, according to you, was the trigger behind such a dismal performance? Was it fatigue coming from the back of HIL? Was it the fact that Craig Fulton was trying to experiment with something and it didn't work out?
I You used the word terrible. I think people who saw the 8-0 probably felt something deeper. The emotions of a very different type. I think for almost half an hour, 1 hour, I mean, the WhatsApp and with all the people I know with the sport, everybody just went silent on that. I haven't seen such a battering in a long time. Not the way it was done, the way they were so. I mean, I can only say great hockey by Argentina and the way they went through our defense, went through our midfield. I mean, it's been a long time anybody did that, and of course, since the time Graham came in, Graham Reed, and even during Terry Walsh, when he took the team to the 2014 World Cup, where I do believe that even though we finished pretty low down the order, the team was in a fantastic position in the middle of the pool rankings where they could have even gone to the semis. But that was a missed opportunity. But I think it's a combination of many factors. I think one, it's been a long time. HIL, what happens is when you're playing for different clubs, and I think you would relate to this, is when the World Cup comes, the football World Cup, we always put England under a scanner. Since '66, they have never won a World Cup. That was the last time they won. And every time we say, oh, EPL, itna bada tournament hai, the millions and millions of pounds, and it's a billion dollar property. 160 countries watch a live telecast of the EPL every weekend. It kind of grabs us by our balls, all the time. Arsenal, this, that, Manchester United. So why doesn't England, which has such a fantastic league, the best league in the world, why don't they win the World Cup on a canter? They should just win it like that. But the question is that teams are under very different coaches. Every coach has a different philosophy of playing hockey. Every coach thinks differently. Every coach has a different way of molding a forward, molding a midfielder, even playing defenders in certain set positions. Even the set pieces are done differently by different coaches. This could be just a theory, but I think it does have a place where when you're playing the HIL, all of these players are under different coaches. All coaches, as I said, play differently. So when suddenly you come and you become part of a national team with hardly 5 days with Craig Fulton and the rest of the players who a week back were opponents.
So there should have been a proper cooling off period?
There should have been at least a 15-day cooling off period, not only for the coach with the team, but also off hockey. I think from Bhubaneswar, where the finals were played of the HIL and the last of the pool stages or the group stages, from there, all they did was take a flight or take a train and then just go to Rourkela. And then the whole Pro League was there. You can always say Belgium was also playing the HIL, but our pool was probably one of the biggest to be playing the HIL. Most of these players, not most, all of them were playing HIL. For them to suddenly come and then suddenly play India without your mind registering the fact that now I need to play according to how you wanted, but I was playing according to how he wanted me a week back. That takes time. And the other thing was the mental fatigue. If you see the frames of Argentina goals or the Belgium goals, you'll be surprised, but you won't see Indian defenders in those frames because the Indian defenders have been beaten and they've fallen back. The Argentina forwards are outpacing and outrunning us. Those frames are a story. It just means that mental fatigue, physically we were not there, and on the pitch we were just not registering with what is happening. If a 1-1 scoreline or a 2-1 scoreline was there till the fourth quarter, maybe we could have made a match out of it. But once you are 4-0 down, 5-0 down, and I'm talking of the Argentina game, then it is extremely difficult for you to come back mentally into a match.
But how does one decode this? Like you yourself are saying that if you watch frame by frame, the way the Argentinians beat our defenders, they are nowhere in the frame. Point one. Point two, Coach Craig Fulton is known as the master of the defensive technique, and he took India to bronze also. So coming off that win with so much of sorry, that glitz and glamour and the free hand being given to him, and particularly when your strength is defense, when you're known for a defensive technique, and you're picking and choosing players according to the way you want to, and they're all seasoned guys. What went wrong?
I think if you see the India versus Belgium match, we were equal till the 53rd minute. And then Belgium, every team realizes where the weakness is. Once they knew that we were being beaten on the counter, and then they were making the turnovers. Turnovers is when an Indian forward or an Indian player has the ball and the ball is snatched away. A turnover happens, which means the opposition then has the ball and they make the attack. There were so many turnovers in the Argentina match. There were at least 12 turnovers. 12 turnovers. This is like unforced errors in tennis. You cannot have those kind of turnovers because you're giving the ball back to them when you have the ball. The question is, if you're not keeping possession, let's assume that the Indians were playing average hockey. What happens to your mind when you play average hockey at an international level is that your mind tells you, अब मुझे बॉल अपने पास रखनी है, I have to keep possession, I have to keep rotating the ball till I find a breakthrough, till I find a channel in which I can give a through ball. If you're not able to do that, it just means mentally you're not there. I think it was, as I said, I think a lot of it boils down to fatigue, a lot of it boils down to that these guys have not been together for a long time.
Okay, let's move forward to some specifics now, and the first pit stop is goalkeeping. So the great, magnificent, superb Srijesh has retired, and in his place we had Krishan Pathak, who was rested. Then the onus fell on Suraj Karkera and Pawan. They conceded nearly 5 goals per match. You watched every match very, very closely. First, compare Srijesh's prowess to these gentlemen who played. Were they any less, or did they miss the beat? Were they beaten by a superior side?
No, first of all, they were beaten by a superior side on that day. Of course, those shots, the kind of movements, the kind of pace, the kind of speed Argentina, Belgium were playing at, we were not even there. So that takes that out of the equation. You just used the word on Krishan Pathak that he was rested. No, he wasn't rested. He was under a disciplinary measure where he was taken out of the team along with Dilpreet and Manpreet. For what? I love saying this. For giving marijuana gummies to who? To Sukhjit Singh, who actually played like he was still under the influence of marijuana.
And this is on record.
This is on record. South Africa, they apparently gave him gummies. I still have to figure the story out. The story came in the Tribune from a very dear friend and I still have to figure out कि इन तीनों में से किसने वो marijuana गमी दी, ठीक है ना? और सुखजीत जो मतलब पंजाब का है, मतलब and he is a center forward, terrific player, उसने गमी ले भी ली और खा भी ली, और फिर वो marijuana के उसमें आके वो टीम मीटिंग मिस कर गया, और फिर क्या हुआ? फिर वो टीम मीटिंग के कारण साउथ जो हमारे कोच हैं क्रेग, उनको पता चला, तो उन्होंने कोई मतलब he didn't do anything actually because I do feel there was nothing you could do. किसी ने ले लिया, खत्म हो गई कहानी.
कुछ लोग तो ये marijuana लेते हैं कहीं वो पेन रिलीवर के लिए.
नहीं, कई लोग लेते हैं परफॉर्मेंस एनहांसर के लिए, बट सुखजीत को क्या परफॉर्मेंस एनहांसिंग, वो तो उल्टा ये 4 मैचों में तो कहीं था ही नहीं, वो कहीं दिख ही नहीं रहा था. So Krishan Pathak was kept out, who is the understudy to Srijesh, the brilliant goalkeeper that you said. He was the understudy to him, and now he's not there. So Suraj is a great guy, okay, but I think the comparisons rest there. I mean, or should stop there. Suraj has limitations, which was completely exposed here. Though of course he's again on the second leg of the Pro League, not the second, but the next leg of the Pro League in Hobart. But what is really surprising to me is that you still are not giving a chance. I don't know for what reason. I still haven't figured that out. I haven't found out. I mean, I haven't checked with anyone. Is Prince Deep, the goalkeeper who was at the Junior World Cup team and who did a fantastic job, I think he should have been drafted in for the Pro League, and most of your seniors should have been told, go home, rest, have a few gummies and then come back later. ठीक है, ये जो आपने जबरदस्ती सबको यहाँ घुसा दिया कि सब प्रो लीग खेलेंगे, इससे तो अच्छा आप जूनियर वर्ल्ड कप टीम को पूरी टीम को चांस दे देते. सबको मालूम पड़ जाता है कि जूनियर वर्ल्ड कप टीम किस लेवल पे है, क्या वो टीम अर्जेंटीना बेल्जियम के खिलाफ खेल सकती है कि नहीं. जो उनमें से खेल लेता आप उनको दूसरे लेग में ले जाते. So I think this was a big problem out there, that you have again pushed the same players in, and now you're blaming the same players for underperforming, which I think was wrong.
और ये गमी की स्टोरी लीक कहाँ से हुई?
ये गमी की स्टोरी, अब इसमें हम मैं डीपली घुस जाऊंगा तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स हो जाएंगी, इसमें नहीं
तो छोड़
घुसना,
देते
ज्यादा छोड़ देते हैं। इसमें
छोड़
कुछ नाम आपने अभी लिए थे, वो भी इसी में घुसे हुए थे स्टोरी में, तो लेट द गमीज बी एज दे आर।
ठीक, अब हम बात करते हैं हरमनप्रीत सिंह की, AKA सरपंच, जिनके बढ़िया खेल की वजह से वो बहुत ही मशहूर हैं, लेकिन इस बार कई पेनल्टी स्ट्रोक उन्होंने मिस किया जो उनकी खासियत है, और स्लगिश वो लगे डिफेंस में। तो इनके बारे में आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे? अगेन स्टिफ हैं, थके हुए हैं, माइंड नहीं चल रहा है, क्या हुआ?
Should not have played the Pro League. I think that is where Hockey India should also have a third, fourth high if they have it.
जैसे क्रिकेट में रोटेशन होता है, यहाँ भी होना चाहिए या है?
नहीं है, लेकिन कभी कभी क्या होता है कि आप सोचते हो कि हरमनप्रीत खेल लेगा, आपके पीसीस निकल जाएंगे, पर आप ये भूल जाते हो कि हरमनप्रीत कब से खेल रहा है, कंसिस्टेंटली खेल रहा है, consistently he's performing. Yes, a couple of tournaments here and there you may have a player who's not performing not because he's kind of gone bad or he's rusty or something, but mentally he gets stale, and for somebody who's completely shouldering the burden of penalty corner conversion, which is basically your biggest strength, if your forwards are not performing,
so you need that guy sharp, you need that guy fresh, and very focused.
Very focused in terms of a leadership quality also. What was missing in these 4 games was also leadership quality, as very rightly pointed out on Twitter by Adnan Zakir, who used to come on our shows during, I think, the Olympics or something. He used to come on the shows.
He spoke very well then.
Yeah, and he very clearly pointed it. He says that you guys were missing leadership. So what he was trying to say is that when you're 3 down, when you're 2-1 down, when you're feeling the pressure, the leader, the main guy needs to step up. He said your main guy never stepped up, not only in terms of skill or talent or whatever he has, but even in terms of getting the group together and saying, hey guys, let's do something else. He says that's where it was lacking. I do believe that even Hardik, even a couple of more players should not have been in this Pro League side. They should have just been rested. You should have told the juniors, as I said, go all out, perform. If you guys are so good that most of Hockey India guys are saying that, aging legs should be shifted out and shunted out and all of that, this is your chance. This is your chance against Argentina. This is your chance against Belgium. Perform and then go on to Harvard and then go on to the World Cup, which is coming up in July, August, and also in September, the Asian Games. You have a great chance. They should have rested and given the juniors a chance.
Here, when we were talking about poor defensive technique or a strategy that went horribly wrong and we conceded so many goals, the defense was not able to keep pace also with the rival attackers. All of that has been discussed. But a loose analogy, I remember in the Chelsea phase, there's this famous saying about Coach Mourinho that he would park the defensive bus, park the bus in front of his goal, and that's it. There were no more goals. That it was like an impregnable wall. Did Coach Fulton miss a beat? Again, I'm coming to that point because he's such a highly experienced man and this horrible spectre, or rather tragedy, this hammering is unfolding in front of his eyes. So did he miss a beat? Did he miss a trick?
I don't think there were any tricks left out there in whatever sense. When you play Belgium, you play a team that is being coached by Shane McLeod. Craig was his understudy.
Okay.
When they won the Olympics, when they won the World Championships, when they again won the World Championships, Craig was the understudy. So whatever Shane does, Craig understands. Whatever Craig does, Shane understands. But the point is not that. The point is you play with whatever you have. And at that point of time, you could see it on Craig's face. It wasn't something like he had given up. But he knew this was the optimum that he could take out of this team. Because if your players are not coming back, if your players... There were a few comments of somebody saying that, Selvam, the Tamil Nadu centre forward, his job is not to defend. No, his job is also to defend and also to score goals. Similarly as Hardik's job. In one match, Harmanpreet was so frustrated that he went up as a centre forward. And he was trying to, what he was trying to say is like sometimes we do, tum log khel nahi rahe ho, main hi khelta hu jaake aage. Those kind of moments were coming, where players' frustration was coming out. And even Hardik and Selvam had that 5 meter rule, and he went into the defense, getting a card or there was an infringement. Hardik showed him this, that where the hell are you? But this was not just Selvam's fault. This was everybody's fault out there. Nobody was on the pitch. Everybody was on the pitch but off it. So, mentally, you were finished in the Pro League. And what happens is that let's assume that if we had lost to Belgium 1-0, if we had lost to Argentina 2-0, and then in the third game, in the rematch with Belgium, we would have lost 2-1, and then again 1-0 or 1-1, and then shootout defeat to Argentina. Would we have considered this success? Because that 8-0 scoreline, now you're looking at it very differently, that we were ripped apart, we were completely destroyed. But for me, a 1-0 scoreline or an 8-0 scoreline sounds the same. But for a lot of fans out there, for people who probably want to understand hockey, want to know how it ticks and how it works, it sounds disastrous. And that is the point here.
Some writers, some people who know of hockey, they started comparing this 8-0 scoreline to our infamous match against Pakistan, 7-1, and what happened to goalie Negi. Met him with few years later, and of course his resurrection with Chak De India, which Shah Rukh Khan played, of course completely fictionalized, but took it in a different direction. It bought him resurrection. But these moments in sports, they turned into some kind of perennial tragedies, like Chetan Sharma's last ball, which was hammered by Javed Miandad for a 6 in Sharjah. I mean, it has hounded that poor guy for the rest of his life, and one has spoken to him enough about it. So, is there a problem like that with Team India, that this suddenly everyone has woken up to, my God, 8-0?
Yeah, I think, as I said, if it was 1-0 defeat, nobody would have bothered. People would have just carried on with life. It's just the 8-0 that kind of shocks you a little. That kya ho gaya?
Was it before, till halftime?
It was almost 6-0 till halftime.
My God.
Or 7-0 till halftime, yeah. And then the third quarter was 0-0, which was the one quarter where you thought, chalo, there's some stability, and then they probably got one more goal in the fourth quarter. But yeah, 7-0. And just imagine if it would have crossed a dozen. It easily could have, because the team was completely smashed. They were just not there at all. Once 6-7 goes in, then you're gone. Then you're just backpedaling constantly. You're just hoping that the clock somehow stops. Somebody, stops time somewhere. God comes down, saves you. All of those things would have happened with the team. But I do believe that this is a resilient lot. This is something that in their mind they would have expected. I think people like Hardik, Harman and all these guys, German, they know their bodies much better than most of us, of course. And they would have realized that this is going to be a tough series in the Pro League. I think they all knew they're not going to win again in this part of the Pro League. The next is from Hobart on the 21st against Spain and Australia. I just hope these score lines are not repeated, honestly. I just hope they have some classical good games.
What is the kind of rest period that they have had?
So 21st is the match. So they finished off on the 15th night or something like that. Yeah, and then they have to fly 2 days, so you can understand the whole flight. But that's a different team, not so different. Harman is not playing there, thank God. They have given him the rest. They say the personal reasons, he needed to go home, which is fine. He can go anywhere, but he needs to rest. Hardik has gone there, German has gone there, except for 3 or 4 players. I think the entire team is going to be there. And Suraj, I really thought they should have.
And goalie Pathak, is he back? No, not yet.
He's still having dreams of why did he give the gummies. So,
Okay.
Gummy saga goes on.
So there is a line that Coach Fulton claims that this was a discovery phase for the World Cup and Asian Games. Before I hand it over to you, this is like Baz McCullum, after getting hammered in the Ashes, says it's a learning process. We are always learning. We are looking at a new challenge. So what does Baz McCullum do? Brings the hapless England team, of course, white ball cricket team, to India for the T20 World Cup, and they lose to Nepal. And it's a royal mess that they are going through. But for him, it's a learning phase. He's there with his shades and looking cool as ever, a brilliant man. So, and I don't want to sound harsh on Coach Fulton, because He is a respectable figure. He has done a lot for Indian hockey. So over to you.
They almost lost to Nepal. Yeah. So no, I can completely understand that he's looking at the World Cup. I can completely understand that he's looking at the Asian Games, and the only way that he can bring a team out of it is by having this same set of a core group of 33 players that we are talking about, who played in Rourkela and now who are going to play in Hobart. Of course, you're probably going to have a four nation in Malaysia, where India is going to go, where apparently Craig has said that he is going to look at players more closely out there. And then the team goes in June for the final leg of the Pro League, which is in Europe. Then they play the World Cup. Now, the classical question here is that what do you prioritize? Do you prioritize the World Cup? And then 20 days later, do you prioritize the Asian Games? The World Cup, we haven't even gone to the semi-finals for the last 51 years. Okay, no semi-finals.
Sorry for butting in here. Now, it's a brilliant moment. The World Cup first, then the Asian Games. If we get clobbered hard in the World Cup, then we lose mental positioning strength for the Asian Games? Or not necessarily?
Not necessarily, simply because I think if it was the other way around, it probably would have mattered in a way. But Asia is not what it used to be earlier, 10, 15 years earlier, where Pakistan was one of the kings. Korea was an extremely strong side, it regularly beat us. Now you are in a position where even at 60% playing capacity or 70% playing capacity, you can win the Asian Games gold. Now, the biggest thing is that if you win the Asian Games gold, then you go directly to the LA 28 Olympics. Government is happy, SAI is happy, Ministry is happy, Hockey India is happy. Craig Fulton may be a little disappointed because for him, getting into a last four of the World Cup improves his CV, that he's taken India #1 to the Olympic bronze medal, and now he has also broken some jinx which is going on for 51 years of not entering the last four of the World Cup. That is where Craig's mind is. I think somewhere he does know that winning the gold in the Asian Games will not be so much of a problem. He can still put a squad together. But a coach with a little bit of pride, a nation with a little bit of pride, would always say कि यार वर्ल्ड कप 51 years हो गए, लास्ट फोर में भी नहीं पहुंचे, कुछ करते हैं इस वर्ल्ड।
पर आपको क्या लगता है पहुंच पाएंगे?
देखो, अगर आप क्रेग पे पूरा भरोसा रखेंगे, आप उसको वो जो चाहता है आप करें, तब आप पहुंच सकते हैं। देयर इज द बिग difference. There is a quarter final in 2018 we were in the quarter finals, we lost 2-1.
नहीं, लेकिन ये जो आपने राइडर दिया ना, अगर आप कोच पे भरोसा कर सकते
नहीं, आपको भरोसा करना पड़ेगा एज अ फेडरेशन। अगर आप हॉकी इंडिया हैं, आप क्या करेंगे? आप ये तो नहीं बोलेंगे ना कि ये मेरी लिस्ट है। आप बोलेंगे ना क्रेग, आप
नहीं तो बीच में भाजी कौन मार सकता है कि
नहीं, हॉकी
दिलीप तिर्की या श्री भोलानाथ ऐसे
नहीं, उनमें से कोई भी बोल सकता है कि ये 2-3 प्लेयर आपको लेके जाने पड़ेंगे। आप उनमें से कोई ना कोई यूपी से बोलेगा ये विष्णु खेलेगा, विष्णु अभी होबार्ट में खेलने वाला है।
यूपी में तो हमारे दूसरे हीरो बैठे हुए हैं, आरपी सिंह भी
बोल सकते हैं। आपने नाम ले लिया, मैं तो नाम नहीं ले रहा था।
सर, आई हैव नथिंग टू लूज,
neither do I, except a smile and a handshake, you know, and in a nation where we are losing handshakes faster, this is okay.
अब तो हाथ मिलाना भी छोड़ दिया।
But the bigger question is that you have to trust the man you have made a coach. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, right.
आप गधे से गधे को भी कोच बना लो, लेकिन अगर आप सोचते हैं कि आप हॉकी इंडिया में बैठ के आप अगर टीम बना सकते हैं तो फिर आप कोच भी बन जाइए। Then take the brickbats there. Why you're not taking them there? So my point is, if Craig has given you the Asia Cup, Craig has given you the Asian Champions Trophy, Craig has given you the Asian Games, Craig has given you the Olympic bronze medal. Trust him for one more tournament, or trust him for 2 more. क्या हो जाएगा ज्यादा? आप वर्ल्ड कप में सेमीफाइनल नहीं जाएंगे, कौन सा 51 ईयर्स से आप गए?
तो बाकी लोग जब कूदते हैं बीच में, फेडरेशन के हों या जहाँ के भी हों, तो जब बाकी लोग कूद जाते हैं वो इसलिए कूदते हैं कि उन पे पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर आ जाता है, या उनका खुद का होता है कि हमारा खिलाड़ी चला जाए तो बेहतर रहेगा?
40 साल से तो मैं भी देख रहा हूँ कि हॉकी इंडिया में जो होता है वो हर वक्त सोचता है कि वो जब सोचता है ना तो भगवान सोच रहा है। ठीक है, कोई भी प्रेसिडेंट आ जाए, कोई भी सेक्रेटरी आ जाए, ये चला आ रहा है। और दिलीप तिर्की जी इस चीज को भली भांति जानते हैं। 2004 की जो टीम सिलेक्शन हुई थी जिसमें दिलीप कप्तान थे, वो टीम सिलेक्शन में भी ऐसे 3 खिलाड़ी थे जिनको उस टीम में होना ही नहीं था, लेकिन उस समय के जो सेक्रेटरी थे जो एकदम गायब हो गए बाद में क्योंकि उनके ऊपर इल्जाम लगे थे करप्शन के, उनके कुछ प्लेयर थे जो घुस गए थे उस टीम में। उस समय तो कोई कुछ नहीं बोला। तो जब आप एक्सपीरियंस कर चुके हो 2004 में जो टीम के अंदर एक आध दो तीन प्लेयर ऐसे घुसाए गए थे जिनकी जगह नहीं बन रही थी, so don't do that now. The point is, even if you feel very strongly about a player, I still feel that the coach should be given the final nod and say, fine, this is your team, now you stand up to it. If the team doesn't perform, be ready to walk.
Let's move on to some exciting juniors who are making their presence felt, but they also need to be analyzed by you. One is Mandeep Singh, senior striker, Arayjeet Singh, junior striker, Uttam Singh, and Abhishek. So, a couple of lines on...
Abhishek is already a pro.
Okay.
So he's already been in the senior side. He's proved himself, though I think he was still lacking a lot of quality. The quality that he showed again we come to that same point, the quality that most of these players have shown in the HIL, they couldn't show it here. Also because, it's a complete turnaround of tactics, of strategy. And that takes a little time to settle in. It's not very easy to do it. But the other boys that you said, listen, there's also been something that the junior side on the tactical foundations that they have been built by Srijesh somehow don't match Craig Fulton's ideas and his formulas. This is not something I'm saying out of the ordinary. This is already there. A lot of people do talk about it. I have also spoken about it because I do feel that both the teams are not aligned. And I think Craig also somewhere once in a while does hint that the junior side doesn't play the formations that he wants, because what he wants is that if you're playing the same foundations, if you're playing on the same platform.
But why is there this lack of continuity?
I think Srijesh is his own man. He's always been his own man, so he always will believe that what he is doing is right. Craig, as a coach, will believe that what I have done has given results. And Craig, I think, also has a point which is followed in most countries in Europe and everywhere. Also, they are smaller countries, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. But if your junior side is not going to follow what Craig is doing in the senior side, when the juniors come over into the senior side, they are lost for a while. They are at sea trying to understand Craig Fulton's theories, his philosophy of hockey, his defensive methodology, though I do believe that there's nothing called a defensive methodology. In hockey today, everybody falls back, everybody defends, and everybody wants, they get a turnover, they go into counter-attack like this. They need to go in that fast. That is what modern hockey is all about. It's all about space and speed. But this is the problem that most of the juniors are going to face. But I think it will take a little bit of time. And if Craig is given that free hand, pick who you think can last till the Asian Games, then I think he should be given the mandate.
जूनियर और सीनियर की चूंकि कंपैरिजन चल रही है, और ये भी आप बता रहे हैं कि जब एक जूनियर खिलाड़ी चाहे जितना भी अच्छा हो, जब एक सीनियर टीम में ट्रांजिशन करता है, मौका दिया जाता है, वहाँ पे एडजस्ट करना, अडाप्ट करने में थोड़ा वक्त लगता है और कुछ देर के लिए वो अपने आप को वहाँ थोड़ा खोया महसूस शायद कर सकता है. अगर एक एप्पल टू एप्पल कंपैरिजन किया जाए, अंडर 19 वर्ल्ड कप क्रिकेट में जैसे इंडिया ने अभी जीता है, पिछले भी कई कुछ नाम देख लीजिए, तो वो सारे के सारे खिलाड़ी तो तोप नहीं बन जाते सीनियर टीम में आके, कई लोग खो जाते हैं, नहीं कर पाते. तो हॉकी और क्रिकेट का एक ही प्रॉब्लम है, ये सिमिलर प्रॉब्लम है
हर स्पोर्ट में. देखिए, अगर आपका वो लिनियर नहीं है, आपका सब जूनियर से लेके जो प्रोसेस और जो सिस्टम है, अगर वो एक ही लाइन पे नहीं चल रहा है, then you will always have problems when you turn over a coach. 2016, when we won the Junior World Championships under Harinder, Harinder did a great job. Let me first put that up. Yes, he did a great job. He took the team to the World Championship. They won the World Championship. But behind him, who was standing was the director of hockey at that time, Roland Altmans, the Dutchman. He ensured that you were following a particular line. He also ensured the continuity of the juniors into the senior side completely, And that is what has always helped. That is what, in our discussions, I have always maintained. And even a couple of days back, I was speaking to somebody and I did comment on my LinkedIn about this. Somebody had raised a question. And I said that unless we get a director of hockey who is above the coach, not in terms of making the plan and the rules, but looks at overall.
You want a director of athletics also?
I want a director of athletics. I think there should be a director for every sport in this country who is looking at the federation and conveying all that to the coach, so that there is
a bridge.
Yeah, the coach should not constantly, a Craig Fulton sitting with Bolanath to me is a little, I don't know what to say about this.
Is Srijesh still in charge of the junior team?
No, Srijesh, they have relieved him of the post, and he went back, and apparently today, whatever I have read is that he has again reapplied to become Junior India coach. But at the same time, there are 6-7 applications, and I do believe, and I think whatever little I've heard, is that that Hockey India is looking to have a foreign coach. But anybody from RP Singh and Bholanath and Dilip Tirkin can decide कि श्रीजेश को लेना तो आप श्रीजेश को ले लीजिए. But it's very difficult for me to say. But everybody knows my opinion on this.
Let's talk about the role of Dilip Tirki just for a brief while. That when one of the most seasoned players, celebrated name, former India captain, the maximum number of matches played so far, all of that is there. Now, when a man like him is at the helm of affairs, when he's in charge, he's the big boss. So he's obviously seeing with a very transparent vision that there is a gap between the juniors and the seniors, and this is where a Fulton vision should be emulated. What is the kind of role which he, as president of the federation, can do?
I think his mind was pretty clear. I think he always wanted a foreign coach for the junior side.
Okay.
I think he was caught a little when Bolanath announced Srijesh right after the Paris Olympics. He will become the coach. Listen, Srijesh is an extremely experienced player. Okay, let me make this before anybody starts thinking that I have something to do or have a different opinion. I have a different opinion for a very different reason. If we give time for a player to become experienced, to be playing at the highest level, I believe that a coach also needs to experience a coaching experience to become coach at the highest level, which is World Cup level. You have to. You take Rajendra Singh in this country, you take any of the Jude Felixes and all of that who've coached at a level. I think every coach in this country who gets into a junior World Cup side, or who takes a junior Indian side, or who takes, let's assume, takes a senior Indian side in the near future, should have coached your own state to national championships. Then you will understand what coaching pedigree is all about. So just imagine for a second, Jammu Kashmir team into a Ranji final. Everybody's shocked today. Everybody's surprised today.
It's a fantastic achievement.
Yeah, that's exactly what I always say. That if somebody takes a Northeast into a national hockey final, or let's say somebody takes a team that is not supposed to be in the quarterfinal, even to a final, that is the pinnacle of coaching prowess that you want. It's very easy to be out there at that top level and say, I will only coach a junior World Cup side, or only coach the senior side. And this is a problem. This is a disease for the last 40 years. Everybody, Rajendra Senior including, Rajendra Junior including, Harinder including, everybody just wants to be a manager and coach of the national side. Why not your state side? What is so wrong?
Because maybe the money or the exposure is not that great?
I really don't think so. I think everybody wants a shortened bridge. Nobody wants to take that hard grind around. As a player, you've seen the hard grind.
Yeah.
Now the point is, as a coach, do the hard grind and earn your, what do you call that? Stripes?
Spurs, yeah.
Or spurs, or whatever. Earn your spurs that way.
Talking of Spurs, I was a big fan of Thomas Frank, coach of Spurs. And after a brief, I think 8 or 9 months he was there, and then he got sacked. Similarly, I was a big fan of Thomas Tuchel as Chelsea coach. He was also brutally sacked, and of course he's now back. He's been resurrected as the England coach, which is great news. Back in time also, you have several instances in international football and also the EPL that it seems that the tolerance level over a period of time has decreased. They don't give them as long a rope as before, maybe like Arsene Wenger or Ferguson. Has this same thing happened to hockey, that we don't know how to persist, because there will be wins and losses. There will be a time that you have to just persist with a guy because of his vision, what he's trying to do.
No, I think you need to persist, but more than persist, I think what you need to do is that your senior coach should have all of his philosophies being followed down to the academy level. Then, your persistence in a coach will pay, because even after he leaves, they're all following the same path right up till the top. Right now, that there are different. I mean, Rajinder coaches in Punjab. Punjab is the national champion. So his philosophy is different, and I've seen him coach 2003 Champions Trophy where India performed brilliantly. They almost beat Holland. They were leading by a wide margin. One yellow card or something, Dhanraj won't like it. He got it. And then, we just slid away. But he took a team almost to the pinnacle before, again, as you say, KPS Gill decided that he was not good for the 2004 Olympics, and he brought in a complete idiot in Gerard Raak, who was not a coach at all. He may have been a coach in Bangladesh or somewhere, but he was completely incompetent to handle the Indian team, irrespective of whether we had the talent in that team or not. But yes, you've got to persist, and you've got to give him the free hand to select a team. Because as I always point out, Rick always says, it is the onus is on the coach. It's not on the federation at all. Federation has to back the coach and then go and tell the ministry, this is the reason why we want to back the coach, because he's good. If you already think he's not good, then why did you appoint him in the first place? Then why even keep him? Get somebody else. Make Bolanath the coach.
So you want to reveal some inside info which your great friend Dilip Turki may have told you that yes, kisko hum coach la rahe hain.
Dilip is, I don't think he's of the kind that he will ever say anything to anyone. Maybe he says it to somebody else, but to me, he has never ever given any information. I may ask him even that, कौन coach बन रहा है, and he will always say कि देखते हैं कि coach कौन आएगा, सोचेंगे. But उससे ज़्यादा I have to give him credit. He never gives me info. Maybe he gives it to somebody else. Maybe that's how the gummies thing went out. It didn't come to me. So.
Okay, so talking about coaches, now let's assume that Coach Fulton is in big trouble. So if he is in big trouble, which possibly he is, but if the bosses are losing faith in him and they are looking at a couple of names, the first name which has popped up is whom you mentioned, Shane McLeod of Belgium, under whom he trained. And Shane McLeod is described as a tactical genius. He turned Belgium into a world-beating machine. Oh, yeah. He has moved in and out of the Belgium, set up in a consultant capacity. He knows how to build a defense that doesn't just block, but recycles possession. He is the gold standard of modern coaching. What about him?
He is the gold standard simply by the amount of performances, simply by the amount of podium finishes Belgium has got. Also, everybody forgets that Belgium has one of the best directors of hockey in Adam Commons. He's an Australian who's played for Australia. And that is why I keep pushing that you need a director who look overall, who look at sub-juniors and juniors and seniors and all that, whatever is going on. But Shane won't come right now because I think he's contracted till the World Cup and maybe even till 28. I don't know about the 28, but I'm sure he's contracted till the World Cup. So till the World Cup, Shane is not going to be here.
Then Max, I don't know how to pronounce his...
Max Caldas comes in. Caldas he's fantastic. His thinking is so revolutionary in terms of how he can churn a team, And when I say churn a team, he can twist a team from different positions of players. He can even create an Hardik into a fabulous centre forward if he wants to in a particular moment of the match. I think Max is one of those guys who thinks on his feet constantly, second by second, and probably doesn't even need an assistant coach somewhere up who's constantly feeding him info. Max is that revolutionary in what he thinks. Yes, there have been, I think, a couple of performances in the last 4 or 5 years that maybe Max probably fell short in terms of the teams that he was coaching. But if he comes to India, then you can always be that. He's also abrasive a little.
So I'm coming to that. उनके बारे में ये कहा गया है कि he has a track record of making teams nasty to play against.
No, but
ये तो सौरव गांगुली की याद आ गई.
तो वही ना, अब वो अगर वो आ जाता है,
विराट कोहली की याद आ गई.
तो फिर मुझे हॉकी इंडिया पे तरस आएगा कि how do you handle Max Caldas? How will RP handle Max?
नहीं तो ये nasty क्या होता है?
मतलब nasty in the sense that he makes it a little physical here and there. In that sense, he will not let your good player play. So he will ensure that your player is all tied up. That in hockey terms may be called nasty. And he's also abrasive in press conferences. If he doesn't like a journalist asking him a certain question, he's very abrasive about it. So I think India needs him. If India doesn't need him, but India needs a coach sometimes like him who can at least answer to most of the media, 90% of who don't even understand the difference between a centre half and a centre forward. So, you know.
There's a very nice line here that do we need a coach who plays with a shield like Craig Fulton or one who plays with a sword like Cal does?
No, I think we need somebody who can play with a shield, and I'm very, very open about it. I think the 5-3-2-1 system, or the system where centre forwards all show their skill and all of that, is fine. But if you don't have centre forwards who can fall back and play the shield, then you're going to have score lines of 3-0, 4-0 constantly. This 8 is what is the result of that.
Of the sword.
If not the sword, but then your mindset is like that. Yeah. I'll go up and try and get a few goals. Abhishek will go in and he'll do something on his own. No, nothing can be done on your own. Those days are all gone. That a single player can go and turn around a striking circle. No, you need 3-4 players in tandem to go in and take a defense out. That is the way modern hockey is played. So, yes, we need a shield. And, when we talk about a shield, when we talk about heroics of a goalkeeper, when we talk about heroics of a defense, there was this player who still plays the HL, just by the way. His name is Surinder. He's also from Haryana. I think one of those guys who nobody even mentions, completely unsung, doesn't give interviews, listens or used to listen to Musewala, if I remember, played fantastic hockey. He is the main reason for almost 2 years of our defense being solid. He's not one of those guys who even if he has the ball, you will probably think somebody else has the ball. He is that low-key. He's that kind of a shadow. I think defenses of the last, when he was in the national team, defenses, goalkeepers, Krishan Pathak, Srijeshis of the world, all of them should pay tribute to one Surinder Kumar for at least taking away 55% of balls going towards goal and on the goal line. They should be giving him credit. I think nobody gives him credit, and that's the reason why he never gets Man of the Match award, or never got a Man of the Match award, never got the big prizes.
And could he be roped in as a part of the support staff?
I think he should be. Instead of going and figuring out players that you are friendly with, I think you need players who have actually performed brilliantly and then just gone off. There have been 3 times, I very clearly remember, I have chased Surinder to get his version of what happened in a game, and he said, "Arey bhai sahab, main kya bolunga, bade log hain, aap unse puchiye, wo zyada acha khelte." And he's walked off. He just refuses to talk.
So let's make a reference to the old guard, and that is Roland Altmans, ultimate survivor of Indian hockey. He knows the Indian bureaucracy.
No, I'll cut you there.
Okay.
No, I don't think he should come back. He's done enough. He's gone through Pakistan. He's gone to Bangladesh. Except Bhutan, I think he's gone to every country now. So Altmans has been brilliant. Altmans is one of those coaches who's taken Holland to Olympic titles, to World Cup, World Championships. He has taken Holland out of a final. I still remember in Utrecht, when Spain was leading 3-1 in the final, he ensured that Holland won that match 4-3. He's done those kind of things for Holland as a coach. He's done brilliantly for India as a coach. He's done great stuff here. But I think his date is done now. I think he's the kind of a guy, if he comes to Delhi, you will find him at Khan Market at Chowkala. He'll be enjoying his coffee there. That's where I usually
But hockey doesn't need him.
He can come in as director. I would love a man like him as a director, because I think if Sai is friendly and very comfortable with somebody, it's Altmans. Altmans knows more about Indian bureaucracy than Indian bureaucracy knows itself. He's that kind of a guy. So if he comes in as director, he looks at the whole picture, he has the experience of the last 40 years in world hockey, you have a fantastic guy, but not as coach.
Also, another point arises that when we are talking about overall fitness, about a team going into a different stage, and with a lot of these larger, bigger tournaments, prestigious tournaments coming up, should there be some worry on that count, or there's a large enough pool already available?
No, you have a large enough pool. Whether the large enough pool can give you the results is another question. And if you just pick up the word fitness, I think what this team right now needs is a little time of their own. I think you need a little bit of time where they are in a group, in a separate place, not competing, but trying to understand what made them click in the last 2 years. Once they get that with Craig back, I think you will have a team that's ticking and ready for the World Cup.
One last point on this, which is in track and field, we have seen how foreign coaches have helped the pool of athletes a lot. But and in cricket also the same thing has happened. We had foreign coaches, now we have our own homegrown coaches. And again, there's a large debate that between foreign and Indian coaches. So hockey already has quite a few senior retired players who are stars in their own right. Isn't there any one or a couple of them who can jockey for this position?
You have Sardar who can come in, and again, without any bias, I think Sardar needs to go and really do some further degrees. He needs to be part of teams. I would love if one of these coaches goes and be part of teams in Belgium, in Holland, in Australia, try and gain more experience from those sides. I think it's very difficult for you to go through these movements. Yes, HIL is giving that, but you don't see, unless you throw them into the into the deeper side, you will never really figure out who's a good coach, who's a bad coach, nothing of those sorts. So at least on the domestic front, you don't see anyone right now who's doing or who's getting remarkable results. I think Tushar was given the junior women's side at the recent World Cup. I don't think the performance was great. So, and Tushar has been given a long rope. He was also one of those trusted guys by Altmans. But then there has been a little bit of a scandal around Tushar with the junior team. So I think I was very surprised that he was even in the women's hockey league. That is where I don't understand Hockey India. If you have a question mark on a particular coach, then how come he is again coaching a side? It should not be. And the same goes for other coaches also. If there is a question mark, you should not be doing that. I think in Europe or wherever each of these guys praises European systems so much. But if you were in Europe, you probably wouldn't even get a second chance after the scandal and everything. So on the domestic front, I really don't think so. I think we still need to persist, as I said, with foreign coaches, with people who've proved that they have delivered.
Okay, before we wrap, we need to go back to a couple of questions that are still pending. And this one refers to NADA's budget cut story. And IndianSports had recently done a detailed story on NADA's budget being cut down by 4 crores, if I remember correctly, which may not be such a huge figure per se, but because of the fact that NADA needs that money, and the spiral effect was that because of the cuts, suddenly we've seen the number of testing, etc., has come down. Also, there was corresponding allegation against NADA, or rather, I would say scrutiny, that they did not utilize the entire budget. While the NDTL, those doping tests, they have been given an enhanced budget. So there are these larger questions happening. So before I hit the question, what is your observation on this point? Because I just felt that there was something missing, that while we are going in for the Commonwealth Games and the Asian Games in July and September this year, and there is a lot of pressure that we need to show, this time we have to show medals because of the Prime Minister's direct involvement in sports, and that he wants to pitch for the 2036 Olympics, all of that dovetailing in. So if NADA here in India starts testing less, the numbers will also go down. So it's a weird scenario. It should be testing more, while the numbers may go up, but for the longer if not long term, at least in the middle term, it might be useful.
If you're going to spend 5,000 crores, 6,000 crores, 7,000 crores on building infra, on trying to go and get more medals at the Asian Games, at the Commonwealth Games, and even aim for 2036 Olympics, any budget which is less than 100 crores for NADA is less. One can only sympathize with NADA, because at the end of the day, you can keep shooting them down, you can keep throwing whatever you can at them.
And here we are talking about 25 plus crores.
Yeah, and you also need to talk about that you are also in the top 2 doping nations in the world. How can you just not look at that? Or is that something that you are proud of? Because the moment you look at that, just imagine, you're building a 700 crore hockey stadium in Orissa, for example, the Rourkela, though of course Many bureaucrats will tell me that it is for less, which I don't buy that. But if you can spend 500 crores, 600 crores, 700 crores on a stadium, why can't you spend 50 crores for NADA? I mean, why spend means give them that budget? For me, NADA's budget should be at least 100 crores because you need to go through the system. Just figure out where the doping is happening or coming from. You need 10 times more people employed by NADA than what they have now. Unless you really want to continue with being number one, number two amongst countries who are completely doped out. You know, again, it's the gummies factor in a very different way. But the budget is just too less, and for all the criticism that NADA.
लेकिन इसी पॉइंट पे मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि अगर हम आसान शब्दों में बोलें कि इसके ये कुछ लोगों के इंटरेस्ट में होगा कि ये नंबर फजिंग हो. मुझे नहीं पता वो कौन लोग हैं, लेकिन जितना जो जर्नलिस्टिक एबिलिटी हम लोगों में है, जो एक्सपीरियंस है, मुझे तो यही दिखाई देता है कि और हमारी टीम्स, एनएनआई स्पोर्ट्स की टीम जब बाहर जाती हैं, उनको इतना ज्ञान हो गया है कि कहाँ क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है. ऑफलाइन भी वो लोग बात करते हैं. जितना हमारे पास सामर्थ्य है, हमारी टीमें जाती हैं और देखती हैं कहाँ डोपिंग हो रहा है, कहाँ नहीं हो रहा है, और सबको पता है. कोचेस फ़ोन करके बोलते हैं, एथलीट्स अलग से बात करते हैं, कुछ लोग परेशान भी काफ़ी रहते हैं. तो ऐसे हालात में अगर आपको क्लीन स्पोर्ट चाहिए तो आपको तो क्लैम्प डाउन करना पड़ेगा, और अगर आप नहीं कर रहे तो आप चाहते ही नहीं है कि वो नंबर उठे.
देखिए, क्लीन स्पोर्ट 100% तो किसी भी देश में नहीं हो सकता. एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, ग्रीड इज अ ओवरराइडिंग फैक्टर फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल. Black, white, brown, जो भी है, and I'm putting it in these 3 color segments because we constantly think, you know, color segments कई हैं जो कभी भी नहीं ये कर सकते हैं. There have been enough cases among white countries where doping is quite prevalent. United States of America, run by the whites, maybe most of our athletes could be black and all of that. But the greed factor you cannot discount. So the point is कि coaches ने डोप करना है, अपने एथलीट्स को देना है. क्या नाम था उनका?
संदीप मान
जी.
हाँ.
तो यू नो,
जो खुश हो रहे हैं कि हमें गाली पड़ रही है, हम तो बैज ऑफ ऑनर लेते हैं कि भाई हमें कोई गाली दे रहा है.
आप मान साहब, आपको जितनी गालियां देनी है आप दे दीजिए.
हाँ.
लेकिन आप मुझे एक सिस्टम बता दीजिए जहां किसी एथलीट ने डोप किया हो, जो एथलीट ने डोप लिया है उसने कोच से ना लिया हो और अपने मामा या भांजा या बाप या चाचा या किसी से डोप ले लिया हो. अगर आपको लगता है मान साहब कि कोच नहीं डोप देता तो आप मुझे दिखा दीजिए कहाँ नहीं होता. मैं मान जाऊंगा. आई एम गोइंग टू कम ऑन एंड से लाइक दिस, आई एम रियली सॉरी, अपोलोजाइज दैट यू नो द एथलीट जस्ट वेंट इनटू अ किराना शॉप एंड ही सेड कि ये गमी दे देना यार, मेरे को गमी की जरूरत है, मैं खाना चाहता हूँ. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen in any part of the world. It doesn't happen in the US. It doesn't happen in Russia. It doesn't happen in Croatia. It doesn't happen in America. It doesn't happen in Australia. There have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases, and every day you see athletes battling this out. That every time it is the athlete who takes the call for this. The coach goes scot-free. And just Mr. Maan should also understand that it is the Athletics Federation of India who also tells us, who badges us and says कि यार तुम लोग हर वक्त एथलीट को ब्लेम करते रहते हो यार, कोच को कौन देखेगा. तो फिर कहाँ आप, where do you find the questions? My point again, coming back to the NADA point, is if NADA will, every institution does mistakes and learns from it, but if you're going to cut down the budget, then there is a problem. I still believe NADA should be given a budget of 100 crores and should be having an employee strength where they go into every tournament to completely try and eradicate this disease out. You will never be able to do it completely, yes, but if you do it till 90% of it, at least we will not be number one.
It's like the numbers China has shown.
Yeah.
So many thousands were checked, and not more than, if I remember correctly, 34 positive cases. That's all.
Yeah.
They ramped it up.
You have to. Otherwise, the distance between Olympic performance and interstate performance and federation performance is never going to come closer. Everybody in this country, you have to understand and admit that every athlete wants a job. So,
and also looking at the camera, before we really go, I would want to request NADA that please be a little more responsive to the media, to IndianSports. We try and reach out for a comment, etc. Sometimes most of the times there is no reaction, no one is there to entertain us. So we have genuine queries, and the same door should be open to other people in the media. And NADA is a very vital component. And like Sundeep is saying, that the budget should be 100 crores, not even 25 to 30 crores. So it's a big ratification of the work that you're doing. But please be accessible, because it is absolutely important that you are. Having said that, let me cut to Srinivasan Seshadri, who has a question for you. All the federation and association are equally responsible. Where the number of testing comes positive, that state association should be penalized. When they are ready to take credit, they should be responsible too for their coaches and athletes' action. State government sports bodies responsible, as they are giving money for their fame and name, spoiling their athletes. Corporates run sports now, not the sports persons.
I think, well, he has a point. I mean, but how do you penalize a state association? For example, if you have a
कोचेस को ही तो penalize करने में इतनी दिक्कत आ रही.
you basically
संदीप मान हमें गालियां दे रहे हैं.
वो you just keep banning the athlete. It doesn't work like that. Yes, if someday, let's say the AFI says ki okay fine, I mean there is a cutoff of 3. If 3 cases in a state in a period of 6 months, if there are 3 doping cases, then the state is not allowed to participate anymore. But the problem again is, then you are indirectly penalizing the athlete. Again, you are indirectly penalizing the athlete by banning the association. So I think there should be more proactiveness. Now, what that proactiveness could be from AFI, that is very difficult to arrive at this stage, because it is an ongoing process. I think this whole process, number one, it's never going to stop. The doping thing is always going to be controversial. It's always going to be there. But yes, you can minimize it. How do you minimize it? I think is the biggest challenge for everyone.
And at least we should go beyond that stage, that for any junior or sub-junior level that our teams go. So there are photographs now even being taken by user-generated content. कि आप bathroom में वो syringe पड़ा हुआ है, ये मतलब ये खुलेआम है. तो ये मतलब कम से कम वो चीज़ तो बंद हो जानी चाहिए.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, as I said, that there has to be proactiveness from AFI on this whole thing. But it's a very difficult topic to talk about, because you don't know from which angle most of this arrives, and you don't know the starting point of where the dope is coming from. And even though somebody might know, I don't know. At the same time, I do feel bad, because an athlete gets banned, nobody else gets banned, and I hope that if an athlete gets banned and AFI stands by its word that the coach needs to be banned, and I think the coach needs to be banned more than the athlete. If the athlete is banned for 4 years, the coach needs to go in for 8 years.
Great news. So on that, we'll call it a wrap. There is one last question. I don't want to read it because it is very personal against NADA. So हम चाहेंगे कि भाई हमारे रिश्ते आपके साथ हमेशा अच्छे रहें, पावन रहें, दोस्ताना रहें, और उसी पॉइंट पे गुड बाय.
Thank you.